Hey everybody, here we are, another Catfishing Chalk Talk. One of the questions that came up previously after week 1 or 2 when I put it out there, if you have any questions, please by all means give me a holler. One of the questions that popped up is, talk a little bit about boat position. Well, guess what? There is no such thing as talk a little bit about boat position. Boat positioning and bait positioning is very important. It's probably more overlooked than most people think. And I've been finding this out the more and more I've been building maps with my Humminbird helixes and finding little intricacies that are making current seams and bottleneck points even more important. I mean, I've had a pretty good handle on where these spots were before, but there's a little bit of fine tuning. So today we're going to just take a couple minutes. We're going to break this down into one section, which is how to anchor on snags. And if you refer up here to the board, I've got 3 scenarios laid out. One is a snag on an outside bend with a hole. One is on an inside bend, probably a sandbar blocking up the tree or whatever it is. And then one that's stuck in the middle, which is typically at the back end of a hole. So starting at the top, we're going to imagine, because my river, the Red River, runs north, that we're going up. So when I come in here, if the water is of normal levels, I will always dump one over the bank right there onto the main seam. I'll always put one right alongside the snag and then tuck one right in here. Now keep in mind, up here in North Dakota and on the Red, we're allowed 2 per person. When I have guests, it gives me a 6-line spread. So I always want to work that current spot on that outside seam, plus I want to get 1 line into the current. Then I shoot one right up on the bank, and then try to find where the trunk comes down on the tree or something to block current here, and then set them in like that. Yes, as I said before, my penmanship and drawing is poor. But you get my point. So that's kind of how I look at an outside. Now on an inside, you're typically dealing with, in a normal situation, you're dealing with a more of a break on softer side of the current. So I basically do the same thing, but I'm working with the idea that I've got more negative fish. So again, I put one on the bank, but I work this inside a little harder on my lines out of the current. Not in an eddy. For whatever reason, I don't do well on eddies. I do well next to them, but not in them. And then there's usually some sort of bar right here that this is stuck on, so I try to work one into the current and then work the edge of the tree the same as I would. Now looking down at the bottom one, this is one stuck right in the middle of the river. A lot of times the tree flipped over and it's stuck right in the middle, or else it's at the back end of a hole, which is a less than opportune place to fish. But if there's current coming over it, in normal conditions, it's a pretty good spot. Normally I like to start in the middle where the red boat is, and I just like to put one there, put a couple right in the middle, and then work the whole side of this. If there's fish in there and you're fishing like that, it's going to be fairly quick. But usually in this situation, there's something in there. You can sometimes get a break over on the fast side. You've sometimes got a little sandbar over here. So I like to try to anchor up on either side of it. That gives me an opportunity. Let me erase some of these. We're going to go back in and get our tree here. That gives you the opportunity. You can put one line there, work that a little bit, but then you can also work that same hole and determine whether they're working a current break on a hole or else if they're working in the snag. Likewise, if they're a little more negative, you can work the same thing on the negative side. It doesn't take long to figure out which side of these mid-river snags they're on. Now, again, I said at the beginning, you can take this thing and do whatever, talk about it all day. Boat positioning is boat positioning. It's going to be really something. You got high water, you got low water, you got normal water, you got pre-spawn, you got post-spawn, you got negative fish. There's a lot of ways to go on it. This is just normal water snags and a starting point. Very simple. A lot of people start out fishing snags. My first years, I looked for every snag I could find and worked them. They're easy to find. They're easy to fish. The problem is you're going to snag up a little bit more till you learn each one. and everybody else is finding the same snags and fishing the same snags. So as I've progressed, I've come to kind of ignore them if I can. If I can get away without fishing snags, I will. But here's the basics of how this works. Take a look at it. We'll be discussing different boat positioning aspects as we go. Just a reminder, Catfish University, March 17th in Des Moines. You can get your tickets now. I don't think we're going to fill it up. We got a really, really big room. We got 5 speakers. We're going to be talking about ice cats, flathead cats, drifting for cats, kayak fishing for cats. I'm going to talk about what makes catfish work, how weather, water, structure, how it all plays in. Lots of exciting stuff. Going to talk about efficiency, which we're talking about in these video series. Lots of things going up. Make sure if you're in the Des Moines and Iowa area and surrounding, get in on this, catfishuniversity.com. Again, if you don't have the study guides for these reports, go to Amazon, grab yourself a copy of Cracking the Channel Catfish Code and or Advanced Catfishing Made Easy. Until next week, I'm Brad Durick.